noticed that it's only 17% of borrowers go back to the same lender.
What's called the dairy button, red button that I hit.
Hey, remember that?
Right?
And, oh yeah, I love it.
And everybody, welcome back to another edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat the podcast. And if you're feeling like my voice is a little subdued, it is very subdued today because I am feeling the vibrations of Roland Cochrun on this podcast with me today. So, Roland, how are you today, brother?
I'm good. I like to laugh and eat, and so I see all these videos of food. It's making me want to get off this podcast sooner than later.
Yeah, speaking of food, I mean, I saw some of your Costa Rica food, those empanadas that you posted, and I'm a huge empanada fan, man. And they were like huge, right?
Yep. Yep. Empanada Man is the name of that place. Yeah, it was that. I'll tell you what, that town that we were in, we're actually going back there, so we've been there. That'll be our third time. And we don't repeat places. That is the only Nosara, Costa Rica is the only place that we have repeated. This will be our third time. We're going there for 6 months again this next time. Food is out of this world. People out of this world. Highly recommend people spend some time there.
Yeah, the lady who's actually helping us brand this podcast, Molly Rulin of Hardcast Media, just moved from DC to Costa Rica.
Nice.
And she's like, everybody calls themselves an expat around here. And I'm like, no, dude, we're immigrants.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, for real, that's what it is, right?
Like, we're not expats, we're immigrants now. So you're like the real nomad. I mean, that's the one thing I was picking up about you, like kind of digging into you. We all talk about the digital nomad, right? But you're actually like out there. Like I saw you in Egypt on a horseback with the pyramids. I saw you Costa Rica, obviously, some European pictures. You go from like a beach to all of a sudden you're wearing like clothes to protect you from the elements because it's too cold outside. I mean,
all in two suitcases, man, which is hard, right? But here's what I'll tell you though. I genuinely, and I mean this, there's some more stuff I guess that I could have, I suppose, but I mean this. In those two suitcases, I genuinely have everything that I need. I mean, I have, little contraptions for, filming with my phone. I have this microphone. I've got 3 blazers that I travel with. I've got, so like I can actually stay out of those 2 suitcases and I can do keynote speeches. I can attend this conference. I can fit everything in those 2. And it's kind of a cool, it's a liberating feeling knowing that I didn't need everything that I had previously before I made the decision to do this. So it kind of feels nice. Feels nice not to own everything.
So, brother, let me ask you, living out of 2 suitcases, because that was actually something on one of my questions here. So we're diving in a little sooner, but okay, let's talk about this.
Sure.
You wake up one morning and you say, I want to sell everything and I'm going to live with 2 suitcases only. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't that drastic, but obviously something caused you over a period of time to want to be a minimalist.
Yeah, it was actually probably more drastic than that, if anything. I woke up, I had these electric blinds in my house. I had this big old house that I wanted, and I bought it. And I was young. I mean, I was really lucky. I'd retired by probably 28, 29, almost 29. And I had these electric blinds, these blackout blinds in my room, and they were on a timer, and they opened up. And I remember I was staring out of the window, and I had 4 cars at the time, and I was a single guy. And I just remember, I don't know what it was about. My life was, fine until that day. And then, it's just, I couldn't believe, how did I get here? The cars, the houses, I'm just thinking, what is going on? What am I doing? I was just really confused as to what I was doing, confused what I'm doing with my time, confused why I have all these cars and everything that I've purchased. It was kind of getting out of control. There was just, and then everything for the rest of that morning was the same way, right? I'm going over to the shower. I watch past all my watch collection and all my Rolexes. I'm thinking, man, what's going on? Like what's, and I'm young. So it's like, am I just going to keep doing this and just building my empire? It just didn't make a ton of sense. And so, it did hit me. And it was from that day forward that I realized none of that had done anything for me. From a fulfillment standpoint, from a I got people's attention, but not the attention I wanted. I mean, they paid attention to me because I drove an Audi R8 and I had all these things, but they weren't paying attention to me for who I am, what I did to get there, my unique abilities. They just saw the things. And so it was a very shallow, it was all just really shallow. None of it was making a real difference.
I was talking to somebody, this is years ago, so I can't remember the person, but they used to say, they were telling me that, when they were growing up in I think they were 1930s India, right? They were talking about how a man was like talked about, that he has, he doesn't lie. He treats his family well. He goes to work every day. And he goes, now in America, I see that everyone is like talking about how big someone's car is, what kind of vacation they took. You know what I mean? It's all materialistic. It's not the character anymore. Is that kind of like what you were feeling? Like I've done all this stuff, but no one really knows who I am? Or, I mean,
yeah, well, and everybody feels it. I mean, it does. Even you don't have to even get to the top. You can start feeling it in the middle. I mean, we feel it even as kids when we start in middle school. We start performing and just kind of becoming somebody that we're not. Everyone has this feeling of like, I want more. Something's missing. Even successful people. I mean, some of the successful people actually are the emptiest, right? Because they've exhausted all the worldly and material things, and once that's been exhausted, it is what it is at that point, right? So it's something within us that's always been within us. None of us as kids said, oh, I can't wait to have all these things, have a net worth of this, and have, that wasn't what we wanted. We wanted the wealth, but it was a vehicle. And then the funny part is you start getting caught up in that whole money-making piece, and then you forget what you wanted when you were 14, 18, 25, which was, we wanted to be like those elite individuals. The problem is all we saw when we looked at those elite individuals was their net worth. And we ignored all the other things that were actually attracting us to them. And so
that's interesting.
That cycle's continued, I think, for some time now. People have aspired to what they have rather than who they are. And now after going through like 2 full generations of doing that, there's very, very few people now who are grounded in it. And I would say it's a dying art, but I actually disagree. I think it's coming back because divine human creation will always prevail. And so the desire for meaning and purpose is always there. And I think it's coming back, especially after the pandemic. It's coming back faster than it was.
That's interesting you say that, because as a kid, well into my college life, I mean, all I wanted to be was a musician. That was it, right? I mean, if I could and I didn't care about the money part, right? All I cared about was being able to perform in front of people. Like if you put 10 people in front of me or 100 people in front of me, or even when we would start doing festivals, it was always the crowd was what was driving me to play. But then eventually in my early 20s, the money became an aspect because people would stop paying us. Right? So it's like, hold on, I just did, a weekend of shows for you and you're going to cut my pay in half. And all of a sudden money became a thing. And by the time I was 24, I was like, I'm done with this. I can't do this because money was my guiding source and it was no longer fun. Playing music became a job. And so that's kind of interesting that you're kind of hitting upon that, because as children, we do have these goals and ideals that we want to get to, I guess. Is that right? And then,
the game to me is blending them, right? So if you look at the difference. So when I was 17, I made the decision I was gonna go get my doctorate, and I was gonna open up the clinics, medical clinics. Okay, so I was on the road to do that. So at 17, I started going to the private practice conferences to figure out how to open one, how to run one. I came from my family. Nobody knows. I have no money. I don't have to run a business. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to these conferences. And at the conferences, being young and motivated, people were everybody was so generous, just like today. If a 17-year-old kid came up to me today and said he wanted to do something that I know how to do, I'd be incredibly generous, because I can't help myself. What 17-year-old wants to do that? I see all these other kids waste their time playing video games, and this guy's taking it seriously. So as you can imagine, everybody's inviting me into their homes, inviting me into their business. I mean, I saw their books. There was no limits because I wasn't a problem, a competitor. I was just, a kid with a dream. here's the thing I noticed. I would go back. So I'd hang out with all these guys at the elite level, the people in the top 20. When I would go home, I didn't want to stop. So I'd hang out with the leaders there. Well, they're all kind of hardworking. They're good at their stuff, but they're all aspiring to that elite level, right? But here's what I noticed. The people at the top were doing everything completely different than the people aspiring to be at the top. Night and day. Couldn't even compare it. But it was so weird to me, as it's like all of them down there, the average ones trying to become great, they all wanted to become great and thought they were doing everything to become great. And I go and hang out with the people up at the elite level, and it's totally different game. And here's the best way I can describe it.
Mm-hmm.
The people at the bottom are fine. I should say bottom. People aspiring to be great are acquiring. They're getting new CRMs and shopping for CRMs. They're taking social media content classes and trying to improve their content. They're buying this book and that book and signing up for this course and going to this conference and taking all these notes feverishly. And they're trying to grab all of these tools, these assets, these trinkets and gadgets to get to the elite level. Whereas when I look at the elite people who've done it, who are doing, wealth in all areas, right? Fulfillment, wealth of money, wealth of meaning. They went all in on asking themselves, what do I do really, really well? What is my unique ability? Why am I here? What do I do? What's different and superior that I do that other people don't do? What do I love to do? And then how do I create a platform to get that out? So then they're acquiring CRM to get it out. They're acquiring social media skills and public speaking skills to get the message out to the audience that they need to serve, that specific message. So the difference on the surface looks identical. You got one group of people doing all the things, and then you got other people doing the same things, sure, but with a very specific purpose to get a message and a specific change out into the world. Yeah. And the results are night and day. One group, the message is getting out, and it's getting out well because they've found a way to get it out well. You go down to everybody else who's working their faces off and trying, and they're doing all the right things, but there's no message, there's no pulp, there's no reason to choose them. And so it's just noise. But on the surface, it's funny. It looks like they're all doing the same thing, but then they're two night and day different results. And if I had to attribute one thing to my success thus far, it would be learning that lesson really, really young.
So the question that I have is, let's take those two groups and you got the elite and those aspiring to be elite, right? Mm-hmm. At what point were those elite people aspiring to be elite, and all of a sudden they, Og Mandino said it best for me, right? Og Mandino said it's that one step. Yep. It's not like 10 or 15 steps, Fabi. It's one step. You do one thing totally different, and it removes you from the herd. Mm-hmm. And so at what point does that aspiring to be elite, boom, become part of the elite?
The moment you notice what that thing is that you have, what is the change you seek to make? What have you been put here to do? What is your purpose? What is your calling? What is that unique ability that you know how to do for the specific population, the specific type of person? What is that? Because that's the missing element. Once you know that, then all the gadgets, trinkets, CRMs, they'll help you get that into the world. But if you don't take the time to do that non-revenue producing work to understand why would someone choose me? Why, here's the best way to say it. No one's going to pick you. You have to pick yourself. And that's what the elite players did. They picked themselves, and they took however long it took to pick themselves. Some of them, it took 50 years to pick themselves. Some of them, they went all in, like me. For me, I went all in on me, because I realized how this game was played. And so it took me probably 4 years to get it out, but I went all in. I mean, I spent tons of money, tons of time doing journaling and weird stuff that's non-revenue producing, whereas all the other kids they'll do anything for a dime. I understood that it's actually the opposite. The second I wanted to pick myself. The problem is you can't pick yourself if you don't know who you are or what you are. So I had to first figure out who I was, what I was. Once you figure that out, then you can pick yourself. And once you pick yourself, others can pick you. And that's just kind of the nature of how it works. And Fabi, I've studied successful people my whole life, just wanting to be one. And I'm not talking about financially successful. Those are two different things. I'm talking about somebody making an impact, changing the world. The Barry Habibs, the Dave Savages, the Ryan Grants, the Shaylas, the people who are actually changing lives, changing the industry. That's what I wanted. Money's not that difficult. You can find a way to grab that. It's the change that's so rare, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah. So this goes to something you posted recently. I think I saw this and I wrote this down on my notes. Thinking is overrated. Being is what you need.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So I mean, you're connecting your post now to what you're actually telling us on this show right now.
Well, the cool thing is I because that's all I ever talk about. It's really easy for me. My messaging is always consistent. You can catch me on a podcast, consistent message. You can catch me on a private call. You run into me in the hallway at a conference, same message. You see my keynote, same message. And it's not and it's easy for me to talk about it. It's easy for me to always come up with stuff to talk about because it's not I didn't make this message up. It's to be honest with you, it's what I believe I was here to do. It's I'm here to show high achievers and those that want to aspire to more. I'm here to show them how to get there. That's what I feel. If I look at everything that I've done, that's the thing that I do best is take people who already have everything and they're start frustrated that why am I still here when I know I have everything that they have? That's what I'm really, really good at is kind of drawing that connection. But that's what I meant. But the difference between doing and being. Doing is just grabbing the trinkets, grabbing the gadgets, throwing things out there, copying other people. It's the being that we see the elites do really, really well. And that's why it looks like it's so effortless for them, because it is effortless. Because yes, they're working 60 hours a week, but it ain't 60 hours of work. They're just being the way they would be, whether they're getting paid or not. It just so happens they know how to position it to the marketplace to make it a career.
Yeah, the old saying was always like, if you do what you love, then money will follow. Right. Money is never going to be the object.
Right.
Problem is that, you get married, you get bills, and the wife's like, Fob, you're going to go make $70 tonight. You're going to come home at 1 a.m. And you're like, okay, do I do mortgages or do I continue playing bass with this guy? Because what's going to change?
Well, and but I like that you bring that up because there is a formula and a recipe. It's just like a diet. You're not going to look the way you want to look unless it's just like your bank account. I can eat this much. If I eat more, then this will happen. If I don't eat enough of this, then this will happen. I mean, it's no different than with your life with a bank account. So for me, that was the question was, in order for me to be able to do, mine was actually a different problem. In order for people to pay attention to me, I needed to create enough wealth to show them that I know how. I needed to buy businesses. I needed to sell businesses to Wall Street at multipliers, at big multipliers. I needed to go through all these things. I needed to get divorced. There's all this stuff and I didn't know, by the way, back in the day, I thought I was just a disaster, an unhappy disaster. But in the end, I look back at it now and it was basically my design saying, cool, what's the fastest road to you acquiring a platform so that the people that you need to change will pay attention to you? And unfortunately for me, that platform and the people I needed to influence, I had to learn a lot. But here's what I would say, Fabi, is not everyone has the people you need to influence might not be the ones that I was supposed to. And so your job might not be as awful and as laborious and torturous as mine. It could actually be quite a bit simpler, but it is a formula. You do need a certain amount of money, right? And so that's, you got to go on a quest for that. And then if it needs to be made passively, then you need to find a way to have it made passively. But let's not also forget the other thing, which is everyone's so focused on I need the money to blank. You're not entitled to the home and the 3 cars and the 2 acres. I mean, so I think a lot of people delay their purpose in favor of this dream that they think they want. And it's very sad, and it really ends up in a lot of it really just torments them. Whereas in reality, was it really wouldn't have been that bad to have a couple roommates and share some expenses to find your purpose, and we know money always follows somebody who finds a purpose. So that's a non-problem later, but it is a formula, right?
It does feel like people who make money also say, yeah, but money's not everything. I remember being like, and early on, right? I'm going back to a lot of my 20s because you're really kind of like, opening up that box for me, right?
Right.
Which I didn't expect that, by the way, just FYI. And I remember like my best friend mentor, right? Vinay, he was like the number 5th in the country for all state insurance agents out of 2,000 agents. He was number 5. Like he could call the CEO and the CEO would take his call, that kind of stuff, right? And he was like, yeah, but Fab, there's got to be something more than all this. I was like, dude's living in a 15,000 square foot house with a racquetball court in the basement. He's got all this. What is he talking about? There's got to be something more than that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't see it until you actually achieve it. And then you achieve it, like you said, you're walking around your own house now and you're like, okay, what's next? I mean, like all this material success that I have, I mean, we can't belittle it because it does serve a purpose, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something more beyond that, I guess, is what both of us are kind of saying. Because lately I've been saying that for the last couple of years. I think you've been saying it as well now. You're saying it a lot earlier. I'm saying it, in my
they're
50s.
not. It just is what it is. That's what I'm going to say. So I'm not saying I don't. I mean, for those that follow me, yeah, I'm certainly not slumming it. I mean, I make a lot of money, and I'm continuously making. There's not usually every year I 2x what I was making the year before. So I'm not going to sit here and say money's bad. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying it is what it is. So if you're expecting it to do something for you, it's not.
There you go.
That's what I would say.
Brother,
it's just. There. I see money as just no different than like brushing my teeth. It's just it's a thing that happens. It's a thing that I need to do. Mm-hmm. But I've learned enough now. It will not make you famous. It will not make you fulfilled. It will not open doors. I've seen what it takes to get into the elite level. I've been fortunate enough to be able to be accepted into that circle. They don't accept you because you have a net worth. There's a lot of people who actually have more money than those at the elite level. You get into that circle and you demonstrate that you understand what's going on. And I'll just leave it at that because that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
But when you finally understand what they understand and they know, they can tell, and then you get accepted and then you work together. But they know the difference between someone who just has a lot, knows how to make a lot, versus the one that understands what's going on here. Right.
I look at money as more of fuel.
Yeah,
like it's like gas in my car. You know what I mean? I put gas in my car because I got to go from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I kind of feel about money today. It's like, you know what I mean? I know it's there. I got to have it. But it's not going to fix that hole inside of me. It's not going to make me feel like, oh, my God, I'm finally feel like comfortable again. So, yeah.
That's why I retired when I had $540,000. It wasn't because I knew that was enough money. It was because that was enough for me to finally be able to shift focus. And I knew that all of the things I had created would continue to accumulate wealth for me. Yeah. And so that's the key difference. I see a ton of people who it's like, oh, I won't take the foot off the gas, even no matter how miserable I am until I cross 10 million, 20 million, whatever their number is. Mm-hmm. For me, it's such a funny mentality because it's like, yeah, but like, haven't you learned one thing? But by the time you get your income up to the level that can produce that, haven't you learned one thing, that work doesn't make money, that those are two unrelated things, that money comes from exchanging a value to something that somebody else finds valuable, and that someone else can do that, not you. You can have a team that does. I mean, they're two completely unrelated issues.
That's such a great statement. I mean, I hope people just heard what you just said, brother. That's huge. I mean, you're literally paying a value for something that somebody else predetermined a value for.
I mean,
and you're hoping that whatever you purchase will make you feel better, so of equal value.
Well, it is. That's the game that's going on. And so when you start to see that as somebody who owns a business or provides a service, you just need to create a container that delivers whatever it is that these people want. And you don't need to work there. Someone else can work there. You can have a team doing that. But that's my advice to everyone would be, set up the container for it to do its thing. And then the moment you're confident that it's going to do its thing without you, you should carry on and find something else, or and if it is still exciting you, cool, stay there, scale it, whatever it is. But my point being, the moment that excitement and passion's gone, get the thing to a stable state where it's doing its thing without you, and it's okay to go searching for the next thing. You don't have to be a whatever profession for the rest of your life.
Let's shift gears a little bit, Roland, here. I wrote down this thing, and I don't know where I got this from you, and I'm sorry. Sometimes I write notes, and I don't know because I'm reading so much about the person I'm going to have on the show, right? Mm-hmm. but I wrote down core beliefs holding back from true happiness.
Mhm.
I think you may have said that in a post or you said that in somewhere.
Mhm.
I mean, but it struck a chord to me because the last 12 months, definitely I've been uncovering core beliefs. Now I'm coming up on 55. In June, I'll be
Mhm.
55, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like, man, am I too late? Right? And I know the answer is you're never too late, right? It's
Uh-huh.
like whatever it happens, right? But core beliefs hold back people from their actual happiness. Like they sometimes don't even feel like they're entitled to be happy.
Uh-huh.
I mean, how do you feel about that statement?
So it's because I write because my view after seeing what it took to be fulfilled and be at peace, yeah, I had to go back and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to totally remodel everything that I knew because it's actually quite backwards and way more simple than you thought. So here's what I'll say to this: happiness is an emotion, right? Happiness, motivation, flow, all those things that everyone just talks about that feel so great. They're emotions, or their emotional response, they're feelings that you get, and they come as a result from the reality that you've created. So if you've created a reality where people find you valuable and you win an award and you're on stage and people are applauding for you, and you've created a system where that's what the world is that you're living in, where people find you influential and valuable. Yeah, it feels great. You come up there and so great. So what that emotion is doing. So to me, emotions always, they're road signs. They tell you about the reality that you've created. So in this case, with happiness, you've created, and fulfillment, you've created a world where people find you inspiring. So they gave you an award, right? It's ridiculous to want to be happy, want to be motivated. I love those feelings just as much as everyone, but they come as a result from you exercising your purpose, your core values, your beliefs. They come from as a result of you expressing those things into the world. So that's the only reason I say that. It's if you focus too much on the feelings that you want, you're kind of missing it. There's nothing you can really do to get those feelings. They come as a result from doing your unique things, your values, your beliefs, and expressing those in the world and watching those create change. Then the result is happiness, joy, fulfillment, meaning. Oh, I can't wait to do that again. Right. To me, that's the emotion that it says is, wow, this felt good. I wonder if I get to win an award over here now, influencing twice as many people or influencing a different group. So the feeling is, yeah, go do this again. This is good stuff. So that's the weird paradox to me, is you can't even compare the two. I mean, it's a result from,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, human beings are like creatures of feelings.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We do everything based on feeling. Like sometimes I crack up, you know what I mean? Because like my wife will say, look at this. This is amazing. You know what I mean? It's like a little flute glass of champagne overlooking a balcony, and you got the sunset and the beach. And the travel agent is selling you like this vacation is worth it. So my wife gets a feeling based off of that picture.
Mhm.
And I'm like, honey, forget that. Let's go rent a house for 10 days and find out what the people that live there actually feel about the place. You know, that
Mhm.
there were two different people, and sometimes I have to kind of do what she says, and sometimes she does what I say, right? But it is feelings that we're making
Mhm.
decisions off of.
Mhm.
And
Well,
ultimately those
and then they're all we have, right? So I don't blame anybody. It's what, in my opinion, feelings are the only reliable things within this reality that we're in. I mean, everything else is all just constructed by us, by other people. And so, like, who knows if what we're doing is right or wrong or whatever it is, because it's all been just kind of what people have kind of
yeah,
decided is
kind
a
of
thing.
matrix like.
This is a job, and this is a mortgage, and they were all formulated by things. None of those, a mortgage didn't exist until someone invented it as a way to finance a house. So in the end, the reality is just kind of made up of a bunch of stuff that people made, right? So it's really not as real as everyone thinks. But the one thing that is always reliable is how you feel. It's always reliable. Now, are you interpreting it correctly? Was your wife correct that you guys needed to up and sell everything and move and get a champagne flute and stare off into the ocean? No, but there was something about what she told herself when she saw that was true, which was probably it would be really, really nice to be in an environment like this with my husband. And then that felt great. And she's not wrong by that. Now,
Yeah.
does she need to do that tomorrow? Does she need to click the ad and pay whatever it is that, those are then other decisions. But
Yeah.
whatever the story was that she told herself about what it was going to be like to be in that place, that probably was true. And that probably would feel great. And she was probably designed to feel inspired by that. But again, everything after that story, that's on you, man.
Yeah, I think it was more of like I get to spend time with him without him responding to emails and text
Right.
messages.
Right. Which is a good feeling. And
Right?
you should. But then to me, what I always do with that, because I make sure I don't work very much. I try not to work. I work for 4 days and I take 12 days off. And in those 12 days, I'm paying attention to how I feel, because it's stuff like that I'm really curious about is
Mhm.
what about that photo made me feel so good, made me feel inspired. And the funny thing is, every time that I dive into it, it has nothing to do with the vacation and spending and investing in that hotel company. It had to do with, like you said, it had to do with unsubscribing from pressure and responsibilities. But here's the thing. You can unsubscribe from those at any time you want. You don't need to go on a vacation. You can actually unsubscribe and do what I do and sell everything and get out of it. You can unsubscribe mentally and just change your relationship to your bills and your mortgage and have
Mhm.
it not suck you in. I mean, there's lots of different ways to get what you want. You don't always have to
No,
fly to Bali and do whatever the Expedia told you was going to make you happy.
no,
Right?
absolutely. I mean, the thing, with especially with relationships, I mean, once again, I mean, we're going down a topic that, you know what I mean? But with relationships with my wife, there's got to be a moment where it's all her.
Mhm.
And that might mean house cleaning.
Mhm. For
Where
real though, right?
I'm like
Mhm.
helping her clean the house, and she's like, "Oh my God, what a great husband I got." You know what I mean? Because to her, a clean house is like the best
Right.
gift I could ever give her. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so to her, that's like, "Oh my God, Fob's great. I love this guy. Thank God we've been married for all these years." Now I can't clean the house every single day, but on the occasion that I help her out, I know it means a lot to her.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
she's created a world where that's important. And so as long as that's her current reality, then it's important until
so
she decides it's not. So
is it important to find out people what they hold as significant when we're working in a partnership with someone else? Like, so if I'm creating a mortgage group of loan officers,
Mhm.
so 7 elite loan officers, let's say, guys that are really like, banging it out, right? For me as their manager, I try to know like what's important to them. Like, this guy likes racing. This guy, you know what I mean? So the conversations I'm going to have around them, I want to be able to connect with them and understand what's motivating them. It's not the racing, but it's that thrill. So they're thrill seekers. Whereas the other guy, he wants to go fishing and relax all the time after he's done. Just everybody has something about them underneath there that I think we need to find out. And one of the things I noticed about your coaching is you seem to go beyond the numbers. You're trying to find out what's really making them tick. So I mean, walk us through that process.
Mhm. Yeah, what I do is I help top producing loan officers create their unique brand identity. And the reason that's so important is your brand identity, your energy signature is what people have bought. It's what people have bought back in the 90s. It's what people bought to now. It's what people have always bought. I mean, they've never, we know it. We're in a relationship business, but that's the thing is it's not about the words you say and the business you have that sells. It always comes down to who you are. People invest in a person and someone that they can trust. So to me, going into this new economy, we were in the industrial economy, which was producing goods, producing services, and then giving them to people. And that was really when, an employee became a thing and you worked for an employer, right? So that went on for 300 years. And then we kind of moved into the connection economy where, okay, now we have all the things to sell. We're really good at making them. They don't break. We're efficient at that. We have transportation and delivery methods. So then the new void was, okay, now we have a factory full of this stuff. It's not hard for us to make. The new void became distributing it. And that was kind of the birth of the connection economy was, well, people, we need to connect people. So that was, TV came out, radio came out, people started to become connected through radio waves, and then internet came out. We're in a new economy now. We're stepping out of the connection economy. and moving in what I call the spiritual economy, which is where people are seeking purpose, meaning, something that they want to. We used to make fun of millennials for wanting to love their job and have work-life balance. Now every 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, everybody wants to love what they do and have work-life balance. So it's so funny. Just like 6 years ago, we were trash talking these lazy kids, and now like everyone's like, we just shut right up because we realized they were right. But my point of it is, in this new economy, the currency is purpose, meaning, and what purpose is it's not a place or something you get. It's just simply, it's a way of being. It's you recognizing who you are and kind of creating and building a life where that can be expressed, whether it's in your career, your friendships, things like this. So the problem is we've had 300, 400, 500 years into these other economies, and we're coming into this new one where all those practices and beliefs that just don't have a place anymore, right? When in a world where you can rent a Lamborghini and take a picture next to somebody's jet, no one knows who to believe anymore. Trust's at an all-time low. But the one thing that is always reliable is that genuine vibe you get from somebody. Is this person speaking from something they believe in? And it doesn't matter if you're selling mortgages, real estate, people can feel that. And so when I say I help loan officers create a unique brand identity that connects them with purpose, that's what I mean. And that's why it matters, is in this new economy, that's all people want. And here's the coolest part about the spiritual economy. It's the first time in history that what the people want and what you want are the same. They want somebody on purpose, in purpose, creating change that they believe in and being loud and confident about it. What have we always wanted? Be ourselves, do our change, be loud and confident about it. It's the first time in history that the economy and the people are asking for the same things that we wanted most. And I see it as a beautiful opportunity. As you can tell, I'm getting really fired up about it, but it is. To me, we're entering a time that is just going to be so exciting. And for those that embrace this, they're going to be. This is kind of like the day ones of social media right now.
Yeah.
For those that get into this nature of this economy, they're gonna thrive, because they're shopping different now.
What caused the consumer to want that kind of brand, I guess, right?
Oh man, do we have enough time? Here, I'll do it as quick as I can. I'll do it as quick as I can. If you look at Abraham Maslow's work, he drew the hierarchy of needs, right? The pyramid that everyone's seen.
Yep.
You saw it at some point in time in your schooling or in business class. The industrial economy was building safety, physiological needs, right? Those two bricks at the bottom, which is we needed to stay clean, we needed to eat well, we needed to stay warm. And so the industrial economy was solving all of these problems for everyone. And it went on for about 300 years or so. And it was, creating machinery to defend ourselves in war. I mean, all these things were going on, right? And it was important. It was to maintain our safety, our physiological needs that we have, and then also kind of create this platform for a new and better economy where people aren't suffering and dying and working hard. We could do it better. So it served a great purpose, right? Then again, the void changed and the connection economy came. Well, if you look at Abraham Maslow's hierarchy, we have love, connection, belonging, and then above that, esteem and respect, getting respect from others. Those are needs that we all have. Well, as we solved the other problems, what did humans move on to? I want to be more connected, belong more, love more. So we created that, and dating apps and all of these things are coming out. We're becoming connected and belonging. We're able to voice our opinion. Anyone can get on Twitter and voice their opinion and put it out to the world, right? So now we created a platform where you can be heard. Anyone can be respected. It's no longer for the rich and the elite. Anyone can do something admirable and respectful and get a following around whatever that is. Look at you. Here we are on a podcast, right? I mean, how cool is that? You didn't have to ask for permission. You just made one. And so we have these two needs be met. So then your question was, what caused people to care about this? We always have. And at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization. It's something we've always wanted. It's something we've always have cared about. The reason it's emerging now is we are getting to a point where all of our other needs are met. And that's the one that's left is a sense of self, because what self-actualization is learning about self and expressing self. And when people learn about selves, they get more motivated to learn more. When people express themselves, they get more motivated to express themselves even more. It's the one category, Fabi, in that entire pyramid that Maslow found motivation actually goes up All the other ones, when you get them, money, connection, friends, belonging, awards, your motivation to go out and get more actually decreases because it's like, I've already got it all. But then self-actualization, it's the opposite.
That's
The more and more we learn, the more we want to know.
That's interesting.
The more we express, the more we want to express. So that's why it's changing. To me, it was always happening. Everyone talks about, the world's going to hell. No, this is just, we're in this weird transition phase where we came out of needing all of these things and we're bored because we don't need them anymore. We have a ton. And so now we're fighting and bickering about stupid nonsense because we're bored and there's this pending need that no one's addressing quite yet. And that's self-actualization. We want to know who we are, express ourselves, find our purpose. And that you can either help someone do that in the spiritual economy, but here's the biggest opportunity I see. People are going to buy from people on purpose, in purpose, expressing themselves with confidence. So just becoming that person, you'll recruit better, you'll sell better, you'll have more referral partners, everything will happen because people are going to be gravitating towards those that know how to win in this new economy, which is, I know who I am and I know what I'm good at.
That is so interesting because I've felt that in the last 18 months more and more. And I've loved it because it was interesting. I had some headshots taken and the photographer was a friend of mine, Jeff. And I was like, Jeff, I don't see those pictures of me in a suit and tie anymore. Like the ones in the t-shirt are like acceptable to me today. I know it's such a weird thing to talk about, but it was just so like at that point, I would have never said that 10 years ago. But today it's like, you know what? I just don't recognize that guy with the suit and tie anymore. This is who I am. And, if you want to work for me, that's great. If you don't, I get it. You know what I mean? But it's point on exactly what you're saying. I mean, we're understanding who we are. And I also want people around me that know who they are, or at least are on the same journey.
Well, you always want, right? Because if that's the economy, that's the reason the economy works. What you just said is, as we're moving in there, nobody wants to be with the guy who's scarce and feel like, the world's falling apart. And, everyone's like, yeah, whatever, bro. Just like with this, we want to be around people who understand where we are and the opportunities that exist. And so if you are that person, if you're, in a world where everything's scarce, even wealthy people say there's not enough, right? Everyone's so scarce and so sad and so competitive. If you're the person that wants everything that you have, oh, brother, there's nothing more attractive than that. There's nothing. I mean, look at like the Rene Rodriguez's, the Barry Habib's. When you want everything that you already have, man, I can't help but pay attention and want to be around you.
Yeah. Good point, man. So look, Roland, thank you for coming on the Laugh, Lend, and Eat podcast today. I also want to thank you for being a part of the Potapalooza last year. I know I didn't thank you when we started.
Yeah, no. It was awesome. I was able to pipe in from Greece. It was great.
Yeah, that was awesome, brother. And we hope we get you back on the show here sometime in the near future, man.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right. So, JP, if you could do your magic and get us out of here, I certainly would appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat, the podcast. You can now enjoy Fabi's article, Laugh, Lend, and Eat, featured in the Vision magazine. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where each month we are giving away some swag for our lucky listener to show off. Thank you to our sponsors for their continued support, First Option Mortgage and One Good One Recruiting. And remember, you have to be something, so be kind.